They met by accident. He proposed the idea. She gave her consent, all the way to the altar. The casualty was male, and his pigment was pale, unlike his alleged sire, who was black with iron. The recourse was legitimate. He disclaimed responsibility, so they had to separate. The boy remained illegitimate. Last month, not long ago, they both took their go. Coincidentally, by accident, no will, no estate, nothing to inherit. The poor boy is hardly 10 and knows no next of kin. He roams the streets of town like a wind-sown outcast. Gademia.
Very good. So this is a poem about a boy who is considered an outcast. The parents disagree and go their separate ways, and he's left to roam in the streets. And he's considered illegitimate for that reason. And this legitimacy should be coming from here. We are told that the casualty was male, that is the child, and his pigment was pale. He's light-skinned, unlike his alleged sire, who was black with iron. So the sire, who is actually the father here, is black and is angry. But the child is light-skinned. So I think this is the epicenter of their quarrel, of the quarrel between the lady and the man. So the child suffers for not being like the father, maybe they separate or they go their separate ways. Now, for one to understand a poem, or when you analyze a poem with an intention of understanding it and answer questions correctly, I'll just need to rush you through a few things here that help us achieve that. One, before you make a comment to a poem, or even before you read a poem, it's always good to appreciate the title. The title of the poem is very important as it gives a hint or a clue to the reader. So even before you read, you may start having your own guesses on what the poem is about, on the subject of the poem, owing to what the title tells you. Like our poem here is Outcast. An outcast is an illegitimate child. So that tells you that the poem is going to talk about the same. And indeed, that's what happens in the poem. Though it's also good to note that sometimes it can be ironical. The title can be ironical. I'm sure most of you have read this poem called Building the Nation. In Building the Nation, somebody is playing with something somewhere. Elkanah.
Yes.
Did you leave the meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I can see there's someone who is controlling my page here. It's the problem of teaching kids who are negatively bright. Now someone is actually rolling up my screen without my consent.
Negatively bright.
Jaden.
Yeah.
Somebody is controlling my screen. Huh? What can I? Okay, it's back. Let me continue. So I was saying In the poem, I mentioned,
Ingia uone ni movie gani basi nakwambia.
Steve, mute that mic.
yeah, I'm saying the title can be ironical. We have examples. The poem Building the Nation. If you can remember, it's a poem that talks about a certain PS and his chauffeur, his driver. They go to a meeting in which they say they are going to build the nation, but the PS only, eats well, a lot of nice dishes, as the driver dies of hunger in the car. Later on, when they are on the way back, they all claim to have built the nation. So in that case, we can say that somebody here is not building the nation. He's only eating, but the title says they're building the nation. So it's ironical. Thirdly, on the title, always try to ask yourself if it is relevant. Ask yourself, is the title relevant to what is being discussed? Number two, the persona. You all know this. We've said this for 4 years now. It is the person speaking in the poem, or the voice of the person telling the story in the poem. And at this level, I don't expect you to confuse the persona and the poet. The poet is the writer. The persona is the person the writer chooses to tell the story. So it is actually the storyteller. Subject matter. This is the main issue. This is the message that the poet wants to deliver to the audience. It is the topic. It is the topic in the poem. Sometimes we refer to it as what the poem is about. But besides these, there are other issues that come out. We'll call them themes. So these are other issues. These are other issues of concern that are not necessarily the major issues that the author or the poet wants to communicate, but they come up in the course of the story. So it's also good to see them from the main issue. We have styles used. And if somebody is listening, this is the part that I want you to get well, because it carries a lot of marks. Actually, starting from styles to the end of these short notes, I want you to get these right. One, okay, there are many styles. I've tried to categorize them because sometimes questions are specific. They'll ask you to give maybe a certain kind of style, describe how it has been used in the poem, and score your marks. Now, the first category here in my notes, as you can see, I've called them figures of speech. They are also referred to as imagery, use of imagery. And these should give you a hint. These are styles that create images, mental pictures in the reader. You read through an item and you can almost see it in your mind. So they create mental pictures, we call them figures of speech. Sometimes questions may use the words figurative language, and you'll be expected to give these styles. So one is similes, two metaphors, personification, hyperbole, metonymy, synecdoche, litotes, among others. For those who love reading, you can always refer to Excelling in English, Book 4. It has all these with the explanations and examples. If you don't know any one of these are things we covered in class. So I expect you to be knowing them because some of you have even been using them in exams and you've been scoring. Maybe just to mention, I know the last three could be somehow new. Metonymy is where a poet uses a concrete term to refer to a general idea. For instance, you will have, I gave these examples to you before. People usually refer to the British monarchy as the crown. Like if the British monarchy made an announcement, you will hear someone say, the crown has announced. Crown is a hat. I can call it a hat. It's something you put on your head, but it's being used to refer to a whole government system, the British monarchy. In Kenya, we can talk of the State House. Sometimes we see people saying the State House has declared, the State House has said, yet that is just a house. But of course, we all know when they say the State House, they are referring to the government. So the house, State House, has been used to refer to the government. That is metonymy. That is metonymy. Synecdoche is almost similar to this, as here you use a part of something to refer to the whole thing. Let me give a very common example used by parents or people who feed others. People will say, I have 4 mouths to feed. 4 mouths referring to people. A mouth is just a part of a human being, but when you use it to refer to the whole human being, we say you are using this style we are calling synecdoche. Sometimes we see those who drive referring to their vehicles as their wheels. Someone says, this is my wheel. Today I'm behind the wheel. The wheel is just a part of the vehicle, but you're using it to refer to the whole vehicle. That is synecdoche. To note, synecdoche, like I said, it can be using a part of something to refer to the whole, or using a whole thing to refer to the part. You see a kid rolling a tire, a wheel, and they'll tell you, this is my car. The wheel is not a car actually, but the kid may say, this is my car, to mean that is his thing that he plays with. So sometimes you can also use a whole thing to refer to a part. Then we have litotes. If you know what hyperbole is, then this is the opposite. Hyperbole is exaggeration. Litotes is the opposite, understatement.
Wait.
Slap.
Jarada, synecdoche. Nani ya jarada?
Duty codes.
Explain.
I am teaching full
Kila mtu
synecdoche.
Ni explain tena.
ujarada wewe mwenyewe cha mama.
Giga.
I'm sorry.
Wanna go prepare loaf.
Now, where should I begin from? Can you?
The opposite. The opposite of
Lightities.
Yeah.
Oh, good. So I said hyperbole is exaggeration, making something look bigger than it is. While this one is understatement, the opposite, making something look smaller than it really is. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Good, good. Now, these are examples of styles that are referred to as figures of speech or imagery. We have sound patterns. I think they're just 4 or 5. Alliteration, assonance, consonance, rhyme, and internal rhyme.
Signature.
Yes?
Child, the example for litotes.
Oh, litotes. What can I tell you? Let's say, for instance, you have okay, think of let me give you a number. You've bought which is the newest car on the market right now? The newest Porsche car. Somebody? Yes? The Jeep.
Pardon.
Yes?
Pardon.
I'm
What have
asking,
you asked?
which is the newest brand of Porsche cars that you know maybe?
Mercedes.
Mercedes iko under
Porsche.
Porsche. What's a
Bugatti
brand,
Chiron.
Which type?
No brain.
Giga.
Mercedes
922 Cayenne.
Yes?
922 Carrera.
Mercedes S400.
Mercedes S400
Situlie. States the 992 Carrera.
Okay.
and N92.
992 Carrera.
Very good. Very good. Now let's assume you bought one today and you are addressing a congregation somewhere, an audience, a group of people, and you want to refer to that machine and you call it this, or you say, this is my wheelbarrow. This is my wheelbarrow. Are you getting that?
No, it is.
Is it really a wheelbarrow? Okay, another example. Another example. You've scored a 90 in maths, and your parent tells you, is this the only grade you score in maths? And it's 90. That is an understatement. You've bought, and I hope someone is listening, you've bought a phone worth 100K, and you tell your friends, this phone cost me only 100K or 100K only, to make it look so small. So that is litotes. I hope that is okay.
Thank you, Malik. Yeah.
Wonderful. Alliteration, assonance, consonance, rhyme, internal rhyme. Maybe I'll come back to this if you have any problem.
No problem.
These are sound patterns. They are called sound patterns. By the way, sometimes they may talk about sound devices. Sound devices. In this case, it will include these patterns plus idiophones and onomatopoeia. So I want you to note this. When they talk about sound devices, you talk about all these plus idiophones and onomatopoeia. And I'm hoping that you know what they refer to. While idiophones refer to sounds made by actions, onomatopoeia refer to words that describe those sounds and their vocabularies. You can find them in the dictionary, like talk of hissing, banging the door, cooing, crowing, etc. But these ones sound like pata, 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 walking in slippers, a pair of slippers. We have other literary styles: irony, symbolism, contrast, sarcasm, satire, repetition. And as we mention this, please remember that it is never a sound device. It's never a sound pattern. It is just a style like any other here, but not a sound pattern. So repetition, satire, sarcasm, contrast, symbolism, irony, among others that we may not mention here for now. Any question up to this point?
Sure.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
I want to make clarification on alliteration. So what confuses is that
yes.
Is it consonants at the beginning of the sentence or at the beginning of any word?
It is, you have a line, and this line begins with a consonant, has two or more words that begin with a consonant sound. That is alliteration. For instance, if you had a line, let me lift a line from a poem, My Meta Thief. There's a line that goes like a pair of black beans, blah, 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 blah. Now, I want you to look at this. This is a line. And we have these two words beginning with the b, 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 or ba sound. What am I doing? It is so the b, b sound makes this line to be, alliterative. So there's alliteration in this line. Why? There's a consonant sound having been repeated in two words in that same line. So that is alliteration. But when you talk about consonants, consonants is where that sound or a consonant sound appears within. The word will appear within two or more words in the same line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that okay?
Sure.
So that is the difference between alliteration and consonants. Here, the consonant comes at the beginning of two or more words. Here, the consonant comes within. Yeah.
And when them.
Yes. Somebody speaking.
Should they, and when selecting them?
Yes.
Should they have the same like the same pronunciation? Like for example, debt and debt straight. They are straight and debt. They are at the end.
The t at the end.
I'm saying,
Yes.
okay, for example, for assonance,
For assonance, yes.
for a word like goose and choose, for
Goose
for
and
choose,
choose.
should the assonance have the
Yeah,
same pronunciation? Like they sound the same.
exactly. Like this one has assonance because of the oo, the oo. If you can see that, this is the same sound. This is the same sound. So there's assonance here. There's assonance here.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So the sound has to be, the vowel sound you pick has to be the same. And that is what makes actually, it reminds me of this thing I told you while in school about diphthongs. Can you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not good. You should not mix the two. A word like, let's say, for instance, mad and day. Mad and day. M-A-D and D-A-Y. Though they have the same letter A, the sound produced is not the same. So you cannot pick the two when you're illustrating assonance. I hope you're getting this. I'm talking about a word like mad and a word like say. Though the a, or the letter A is just the same in the two words, the sound produced is different. So here, you'll not pick this. You'll not pick that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Think.
Internal. Yes.
Can you give me the difference between rhyme and internal rhyme? I didn't get it quite clear.
Exactly. Now, rhyme, for rhyme, these are words that come at the end of lines. At the end of lines. And they have the same ending, the same end sounds. Same end sounds. Oh, whatever I'm writing, I hope you're seeing it. They have the same end sounds. For instance, if you had a word like, I've used this one, they come at the end of a line, then the next line also ends with say. We'll say that they and say rhyme. So for rhyme, the words have to come at the end of lines. Are we there?
Yeah.
Now for internal rhyme, it is the same idea of rhyming words, but now they don't come at the end of the lines. They come within a line. Are we there? And that's why we're calling it internal rhyme. The words rhyme, but within a line. Like these two, if this was a line, we would say that there is internal rhyme here, because goose and choose are all ending with the same sound, z, z. So they are rhyming. So you will underline this part, and this part. In fact, I can lift this one and put it there. Is that clear?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, sawa. So we say that this part is the one that is creating the rhyme. Where are we? Where are we? We are here. Other styles, I think we had
Yes,
mentioned.
excuse me,
Any
sir.
other question? Any other question?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Yes. So I wanted to ask here in rhyme,
Yes.
what about words like cancer and doctor?
Cancer and doctor?
That is right.
Make it clear.
Can you say they, because now in terms of rhyme now, yes.
How
Cancer,
do they rhyme?
doctor. Oh, I'm looking at the, oh, you're looking at the R. Cancer,
Yeah.
doctor. I
Yes.
think we can consider them because the last sound is
Yes.
which is the same. So I think they'll rhyme. Cancer, doctor. So there's that no, maybe there's this rule, Cyrus. When we talk about sounds, we usually look at the syllables, right?
Yes.
Which is the last syllable in cancer?
Yes.
Cancer, it will be sir, doctor, ta. Sir, ta. Hey, that can be a lengthy discussion. If we look at the syllables, they are not rhyming because one is sa and the other one is ta. But maybe owing to the end sound, let's consider it for now. We may have more discussion on this one. Another question? Okay, there being no question, we look at mood. Mood. This is the general feeling in a poem. Some books refer to these as the atmosphere of a poem. I make it easier by saying that it is what you feel after reading a poem or after reading the poem. What feeling, do you have after reading a poem? Whatever feeling you develop, if you feel sad, we can say that that poem has a sad mood. If you feel happy, we can say that that poem has a happy mood. If the poem is discussing romantic issues, things to do with love, then you will say it has a romantic mood. If there is extreme sadness after a great loss, could be money, a lot of money, or maybe you've lost a loved one, you can talk about melancholic. If you've lost someone, talk of a somber mood, a sorrowful mood, a mournful mood. These three are mostly used when you have lost someone or just about to lose someone. You feel a lot of sorrow. You mourn. You feel somber. We talk of a pensive mood. Guys who like thinking and thinking a lot, sometimes thinking about nothing, but they are deep in thoughts anyway. We can say that they are in a
Carry on.
they are in a
Carry
pensive
on mostly.
mood. Now we have poems that come in that form. They sound like someone is just giving a stream of consciousness, a stream of thoughts. We'll say that that poem has a pensive mood. Anxiety. You read a poem and you feel anxious. You read a poem that has many questions or more questions than answers. A poem that has a lot of suspense, you will say that the poem has an anxious mood, a tense mood, among others. If you read a poem and you realize the major things happening in the poem are just celebrations, people are just talking about celebrations, party after party after party, then call that a celebratory mood. Celebratory mood. Where is Victor? Victor?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Now, Victor, we have the next item, tone. It's the quality of voice in a poem. This quality of voice is determined by the choice of words. So the choice of words used in a poem will tell you the quality or the tone that is used. Hey, someone has let his dogs out. Adjectives used include but not limited to the following: happy, sad, loving, hateful, spiteful, critical, romantic, sarcastic, mournful, anxious, tense, fearful, celebratory, etc. Maybe something you need to note here is that tone can, describes or reveals the mood. Tone is used to reveal the mood of a poem. So that if the tone in a poem is a sad one, then the mood is automatically going to be sad. So it is through the tone you use that we can tell the mood that a poem is in. Similarly, it can also reveal one's attitude. It can also reveal one's attitude. If I wanted to know the attitude you have, I'll just need to identify the tone you're using, and I'll automatically describe your attitude towards someone or something. So tone is like an engine of a poem, especially in the world of mood and attitude, because it determines the two. Attitude, on the other hand, is the general feeling that one has towards someone or something. So it is from one person to another. It is what you feel about something or someone else. That is what we call attitude. And this should be the distinguishing factor for attitude, that while these other ones are feelings within a person or in the air, attitude is the feeling that a person expresses to another. Most of the time, people say, oh, so-and-so has an attitude. Oh, my students have an attitude towards me. My friends have an attitude towards me. Oh, these kids have an attitude towards maths. Among many other situations, what they usually refer to is that there's an opinion this person or one person has towards something or someone else. Examples of adjectives. We have patronizing, which is similar to condescending. or disdainful. And these ones actually refer to, or they mean acting superior to others. There are always people in life who, despite being at the same level with you, they'll always want to treat you as inferior, and they superior, the superior parties. We have condemnatory. These are those who just condemn you on everything you do. Whether you're right or wrong, they'll always condemn you. That's condemnatory attitude. Hateful, common vocabulary, critical, approving, disapproving, contemptuous. Contempt is having little respect. Having little respect. And if the respect is completely not there, then we'll just use the word disrespectful. A disrespectful attitude. So, loving, sympathetic, caring, etc. Whatever that is. Who is that? Who is that making some funny noise? That
Two more.
Cyrus, Joshua, Robert.
Two more.
Hey, Joshua, Robert, you can unmute your mics. Now mute them. Yeah, I think Joshua is the one who is in a noisy environment. Cyrus is not, but I've muted him anyway. Now, any question on these three items: mood, tone, and attitude? Before we, yes.
You know, this thing, someone is confusing. Like, for example,
yes,
this attitude, and if you are asked to describe, let's say, an attitude of a person towards another person,
yes,
you know, you can, you may know the attitude, but hiyo jina inapoteanga time exam.
So what you do, you think of an adjective. You think of an adjective that can describe the situation, and you'll be okay. Because, like I said, there are many adjectives that we use in describing attitude, tone, and mood, and we can never list all of them. And even if we did, we can never remember all of them if prompted to talk about them. So what you need to do is to understand the situation, then describe it using an adjective, and you'll be okay. If it is an attitude you're describing, think of an adjective that can describe the feeling that this person has towards that thing or that person. Yes?
Teacher.
Yes, Kamau.
I have a question.
Yes.
If you're told to describe a critical attitude, what will you do? What will you go about it?
Now, I mentioned something sometimes back. Critical has to do with someone pointing out the weaknesses or the failures of another. And in a way, they always help you see the weaknesses more than you can see the, the strengths, which are, of course, are present, but are not maybe talked about. So in short, critical is when you look at strengths and weaknesses. Maybe you say at some point you're good, but there's this problem with you. You're being critical. Otherwise, if you're purely saying no to something and you feel that there is completely nothing good about it, I think we'll not now talk about critical, we'll talk of disapproving, because you're refusing, you're saying it's not completely anything to go with or anything acceptable in your opinion. And if you fully agree with something or someone, then you'll want to use approving because you say it's right. That is the thing. So critical is when you give weaknesses of something. You say someone is criticizing the other.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other question?
Sure.
Yes.
Can you please repeat what you have said about critical attitude?
Critical. Okay, I said critical, that is a situation where someone points out the weaknesses of something. If someone is purely pointing out weaknesses of something, they're criticizing that thing. Otherwise, when someone is simply praising something, we say they are approving that thing. And if someone is not just looking at the weaknesses, but they are saying the whole thing is unacceptable, they don't agree with it, then we use disapproving. That is?
Yes, okay.
Okay. Any other question? Yes?
So, disapproving and critical attitude,
yes,
are they similar?
They are actually almost similar. The difference is very thin. They are almost the same. The difference, like I said, is very thin. Because for critical, it's like there's an allowance for you to say that whatever you're saying may be good in a certain way, but you're still saying it has these problems. But for disapproving, you're simply saying it is completely not acceptable, or you do not completely agree with it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Understood?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other question? Now, we come to the examples. Let me ignore the first one. Let me go to the second one. Levi, take us through this poem. I shall return.
Okay. I shall return.
Yes.
I shall return again. I shall return. To laugh and love and watch with wonder eyes. At golden noon, the forest fires burn, wafting their blue-black smoke to sapphire skies. I shall return to loiter by the streams, to bathe the brown blades of the bending grasses, and realize once more my thousand dreams, and realize once more my thousand dreams of waters rushing down the mountain passes. I shall return to hear the fiddle and fife of village dances and fife of village dances, dear, delicious tunes that stir the hidden depths of native life. Stray melodies of dim, remembered runes. I shall return again. To ease my mind of long years of pain.
Very good. So, who is the persona in the poem? Who is the persona in the poem? Who is the persona in this poem? Somebody? Who is this saying all these words? I shall return again, I shall return. To laugh and love and watch with wonder eyes. At golden noon the forest fires burn, watching their blue-black smoke to sapphire skies. I shall return to loiter by the streams that bathe the brown blades of bending grasses, and realize once more my thousand dreams of waters rushing down the mountain passes. I shall return to hear the fiddle and fife of village dances, dear delicious rooms or tunes that stir the hidden depths of native life, stray melodies of dim remembered runes. I shall return again to ease my mind of long, long years of pain. First of all, is this person where they're supposed to be? And if not, where are they? And this line tells you something. They are somewhere they are suffering. They've been in long, long years of pain. Yes.
Can we say that the persona is like a person who is being held captive, or is a slave in a foreigner's land?
Exactly. You have it. Talk of captivity. This talk of
that's the point.
The persona in the poem is a person who has been held captive. Now, where is the evidence? Because we have 2 marks. That one gives you 1. Where is the second mark? Now, the evidence. Which line do we pick? I shall return. And you look at these to ease my mind of long, long years of pain. So if I was to give an evidence, I'll simply pick these 2 lines. Either paraphrase them or use them the way they are in supporting that answer here, where Robert is saying the persona is a person held captive in a foreign land. If you wanted to add that, then give those 2 lines. The poem says, and you quote the lines as they are. You score your 2 marks. Now, the main question here, what is the general mood in the poem?
Sure.
Yes.
Can you talk of nostalgic mood?
Exactly. Who is that? Who is this? There's someone who has decided that I'll be seeing the gallery when he wants.
Joseph.
Yes? So,
Joseph.
that is Joseph.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That is the correct answer there. Evidence?
Because the persona is trying to recall the moments that they had before he was held captive.
Now, Joseph.
Yeah.
You're partially right in your illustration, but I want you to add that the memories are not just memories, but sweet ones.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Okay.
The memories that make the answer nostalgic correct should be sweet memories. That's what nostalgia is about. So you'll have to mention that the persona is recalling the sweet moments that they had in their native land. In their native land. And you can see the native thing is there. So the sweet moments are mentioned. You can talk of the sounds of fiddle and fife, Levi and Jaden, and maybe Emmanuel. I want you to see the meaning of these words.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
What is the meaning of the word fife and fiddle? These are instruments you use in music. Yes? Yeah, you need to check later. Yeah? Fife and fiddle are musical instruments. They are used in music.
Fife is a type of like a flute or something.
Exactly, it's a flute. It's a flute. What about fiddle?
I don't know that one.
How do you call this metallic ring that is hit continuously with a rod to produce some jingling sound? How do you call that thing?
Triangle.
It's called a triangle.
Ring.
It's the ring.
Triangle.
Like triangle.
A fiddle is a violin.
Fiddle is a violin.
Yeah.
Ah, thank you. Thank you. So,
Kalingalinga.
okay, thank you.
Kalingalinga.
Thank you, guys. So you can see that these are actually musical instruments, and the person is missing that music, that you know, the playing of the instruments. So
Topical 11.
so we are saying it's nostalgic mood,
means
and the answer or the illustration, the sweet memories, the sweet memories, blah 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 blah, that the persona remembers.